Hi, it's Ramsey Dewey at the JX Fight Club in Shanghai, China. I've been asked about how to shadowbox, and you might think it's pretty self-explanatory. You just go out there and throw some punches and kicks and move around like you're fighting. And yes and no. Shadowboxing, in my opinion, is probably the second most important thing you can do to train your striking and fighting in general, if we include shadow wrestling. Second to sparring. Sparring is the most important. We have to be very careful with it. We have to be very intelligent in our approach to sparring. I've talked about this before. But shadowboxing, we have to be just as intelligent in our approach to training that way. Now, you need context for effective shadowboxing. I mean, you need context for effective fighting in general. So, if you look at traditional martial arts forms, the idea is that these forms, whatever it is, they're supposed to represent a fight, kind of like shadowboxing. So, when I was doing Taekwondo, we would do these forms, and it didn't feel like a real fight because I had no context. I mean, what is that? What is that? What is that? Most people don't know because you don't see those traditional martial arts blocks in fights, at least not that shape, if you will. So, had no contexts like most Taekwondo practitioners don't, and to this day, most of that stuff has just gone in the garbage can. So we need context in order to translate our shadowboxing into something that's going to benefit us as a fighter. There are several things I tell my students to do every day. One, do something every day to get stronger. Do something every day to get more flexible. Do something every day to get more technical. And watch a fight every single day, okay? All kinds of fights, MMA fights, boxing matches, wrestling matches, judo, taekwondo, street fights. You have to scour the internet, there are tons of fight videos on there, but watch one every single day in order to get the context of what a fight is, of the reality of fighting, as opposed to what it seems like it should be in our minds. Because what a fight seems like it should be and what it actually is, two very different things. Right? Training without context is meaningless. Okay? So when we spar, afterwards we should think about that sparring, and when we shadowbox, we should imagine we're in those same situations again. How did that guy hit me? How did he get through my guard? How did he surprise me? How did he set that thing up? And how would I respond differently this time in that same situation? Or if you watch a fight video, put yourself in the shoes of the fighters you watched. And again, when you watch those fights, watch them 3 times. First, watch them, maybe 4 times. First, for the entertainment value, get that out of your system, especially if it's a fighter you like. Like, oh man, this is my favorite fighter. We tend to watch it differently through a biased view. So again, watch it first for the entertainment value. Second, watch one of the fighters critically, analytically. Third time, watch the other fighter again critically, analytically. Try to learn something, pick apart the technique. And the 4th time through, watch the negative space. Don't watch the fighters at all. Watch the space between them. Watch how they control the space, manipulate the space, etc. Okay? Because again, all fighting is about manipulating space and controlling space, moving in, around, through the space. So when we shadowbox, that should be our focus. Controlling the space with this imaginary opponent who is moving within the context of our experience. So if you've never sparred and you never plan on sparring, you're not going to get much out of shadowboxing. You'll work up a sweat. It's a great workout. Not everybody needs to fight. So if you don't want to be a fighter, well, That's fine. You can still shadow box. You still should. It is a great workout. It'll make your strikes better, your kicks better, your head movement better, your footwork better. It'll make you better. But with the context of experience, it'll make you better at a much more accelerated rate. Okay? See, a lot of people are used to exercising without any context. They'll go to the gym and they'll pick up a heavy weight and lift it up, and the whole idea is they want to get big or strong or lose some weight or get in shape or look like a fitness model. And there's no context there for nature, if you will. In nature, we get strong because we work. I grew up in a small farming town. A lot of my friends were farmers, and those dudes were strong. I didn't grow up on a farm myself. I lived just right by the city limits. But dudes were strong. I did spend some time bucking hay with my friends and changing sprinkler pipes and that sort of thing. And you do that sort of thing every day, you're going to get strong, but within the context of farming. Okay? Now, you go to the gym a couple times a week and do some curls, check out those guns, and work your vanity muscles, do your bench press, try to get this chest all puffed up for the ladies or whatever your motivation is. Again, that's what we don't tend to call functional strength. Okay, functional strength is strength within a context, meaning it's strength you can do something with in real life, something you can use in nature, if you will. Can you climb a tree, for example? Can you jump over that thing? Can you run away from that guy? Can you beat that guy in a fight? And that's the context I'm always looking for. Can you win the fight or not? So, you can watch a fight every day. And if it's a long fight and you don't have very much time, watch the whole thing. And then go back and pick maybe a small segment. Again, if everybody has very limited time, how we use it's very important. We can waste a lot of time just watching random fights. But pick a part that really stood out to you, a part with maybe a technique you want to learn or master or work on, and watch that part. Watch those 3 or 4 ways. Once as a fan, second, watch one fighter analytically, then the second fighter analytically, and then the negative space in between the fighters. Okay? And then when we shadow box again, use your imagination vividly. Maybe put yourself in the shoes of that fighter. Maybe you watch, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some names. What was the last fight I watched? I watched, what's her face? Mackenzie Dern. I watched her last fight. I forget her opponent's name, but, there was some strange, ponderous things going on in the striking department between both her and her opponent there, in my opinion. But when we watch something that kind of sticks in our mind, it goes back to how we see. We think the eyes are cameras. I made a video about this, but they're not. They're not cameras. They're imaging probability generators. So what we see is our mind's best guess of what will probably happen a fraction of a second in the future based on previous experiences. Again, context. So if our previous experience includes watching Mackenzie Dern fight what's-her-face and do some goofy stuff with striking, we can see, okay, well that goofy thing didn't work, but that cool thing she did, that did work, and that takedown attempt didn't work, but the other one did, and now we can start asking questions. Okay, now why? And once we ask the questions, then we can start getting the answers. Okay? So, also, man, we need that sparring. We need that sparring in order to make our shadow boxing really make sense. Okay? And again, if you haven't seen my long diatribe about safe sparring, again, most of your sparring should be very light contact. You shouldn't be trying to injure each other. Okay? Every once in a while, yes, you do need the context of getting hit a little bit, right? You don't need a lot of that stuff. Okay? I don't do much hard sparring anymore. Every now and then I'll put the gloves on and all that. But especially when you're learning, you don't know how to roll with the punches, you don't know how to hit, you're super tense all the time, and you absorb 100% of the damage. You gotta start light. Okay, you gotta start with very light, controlled power. All right. And that's another reason why shadowboxing is so important, because it gives well, as long as we can connect our mind and our body together as one during the experience, it gives us a lot more experience. Okay, so when you can't find a sparring partner, get your shadowboxing in. In fact, do shadowboxing every single day. What I tell my students, 3 rounds every single day. And I can always, always, always tell who does it and who doesn't. Okay? The athletes, I'm going to call them athletes because athletes do their homework. The athletes who shadowbox every single day, 3 rounds a day, even if they're short ones, you can always tell their punches are crisper, their footwork is just better, it's smoother, their transitions are sharper, their head movement is on point. They're harder to hit, they're just better. Okay, that little edge that the right training gives you is so crucial. You don't have to be a million times better than your opponent. Okay, you just have to make one less mistake than he does. All right? So get your shadowboxing in 3 rounds a day. Apply the context of real life experience, whether it's your own through sparring or through observation of watching fights. But again, those are things we need. It's that trifecta: sparring, shadowboxing, context through observation and film study. So, that's how you shadowbox. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Now get out there and train.